National Geographic approached me about being a consultant for their TV series, the Science of the Bible. There we go. And they said, would you be a consultant? Would you help us? And I said, well, fine. What are the shows for the first season? They said, oh, it's Noah's Ark, it's Ark of the Covenant, it's Sodom and Gomorrah, it's Revelation. And I kind of groaned and I said, everybody's done those. A&E's done it, Discovery's done it, History. They said, we haven't. Oh, okay, fine. So we filmed them. They did a very good job, and the ratings were double, triple, and even quadruple any show that had aired in those time slots before. So they were absolutely accurate. Well, in watching them then, it occurred to me that maybe there should be a book for somebody, who wanted to know a little bit more after the television show was over. So I canvassed my classes, my Archaeology of Israel class and my History of Israel class. I said, what do you think? Should there be a book? And they said, yes, yes, yes. So I went to National Geographic and I said, I think there should be a companion volume. And they said, well, we're actually thinking that same thing. Do you know somebody who'd be willing to write it? Yes. Hello. So we got together, and Garrett Brown, my editor, is here. I'd like to thank him very much for basically sticking with me through the project. I'd also like to thank my family for sticking through me. At one point, my family forbid me to talk about this at dinner anymore. Apparently, I was rather single-minded for a while. So anyway, eventually the book did come out, and while I was writing it, I had some rather interesting experiences, which I kind of wanted to share with you and almost give you the story behind the writing of the book. Back when I started writing it, Garrett Brown, my editor, had said I should read this book by Warner Keller, which is called The Bible as History. Some of you probably know it. Back in the 1950s, it was known as the Bar Mitzvah book of the 50s. And he told a wonderful story about how archaeology had proved the Bible and this and that. And the problem is, as I found, is that book by Warner Keller seems to be what the public wants to hear, or at least that was the impression I was getting. They want to hear us get up here and say, yes, we've proved the Bible archaeologically, and that's just not going to happen. We can't do that. But that's, I thought, what people wanted to hear. And when I was giving lectures on the Ark of the Covenant and the Exodus and the various other places, and I would say, well, we're having a little problem here finding evidence for it, people would, get upset, and they'd go away angry and all that. So I thought again, well, somebody needs to write this book. And I looked around and I said, what's been written on this? And there's a lot of stuff that's in Herschel's magazine, Biblical Archaeology Review. But there aren't really many books that are written by professional archaeologists or biblical scholars dealing with these topics. And I was trying to figure out why. Why aren't we touching them? I mean, these are almost topics that we avoid with that proverbial 10-foot pole. We won't go near these in a way. We're happy to talk on TV. We're happy to give talks like this. I would say we won't write books about this. It's dangerous. I mean, you don't want to go there in a way. So part of the problem, I was trying to figure out why. And part of the problem is that we are academically snobs. If you write for the popular audience, you must not be doing something right. And I think that's not right, because we have code of ethics in archaeology. The AIA's got a code of ethics. ASOR's got a code. And in our code, it says that we have to bring archaeology to the public. And that doesn't mean writing just for your colleagues and jargon-laden things. That means writing books like these. That's where I come from. I also think that you need, if a reporter calls you, if somebody from the TV calls you and says, we need you as a talking head, that I think it's part of our job to go out there. And as we were saying earlier in the green room, if we say no, then they're going to go out and get somebody else, and they might be worse. I'm bad enough, but somebody else might be worse. So I kind of feel like this is, one part of my professional persona is to appear on these. And if I get grief from my colleague for being on TV too much, that's okay, because they don't pay me. So it's okay. I got a hat from Geographic. Actually, I got a jacket last time, it's a nice jacket. But, it's not the money. I do it because I think we actually have to get out there. Now, I imagine a number of you surf the internet. Would I be correct? And if you type in things like Noah's Ark, if you type in Ark of the Covenant, tons of stuff come up. In fact, that's one of the projects I have my students do. Their assignment is to go find the most interesting website that they can find on the Ark of the Covenant or something like that. And there's an awful lot of nonsense, shall I say, that's out there. That's a euphemism, but there's a lot of nonsense that's out there, and most of it is written by amateur enthusiasts, and frankly, we don't know what to believe. I mean, my wife's grandmother calls me up all the time and says, they found Noah's Ark last week. And I'm like, oh, did they? And she's like, yeah, I saw it on television. I'm like, well, you saw something on television, but it's not Noah's Ark. So she said, why? I'm like, well, and so I sat there and explained it to her. And after the book came out, bless her heart, she called me up. She said, it sounds like you're just sitting here talking to me when I'm reading the book. I said, good, that's what I meant it to be. So part of the problem is that I think, we've abandoned the field. By we, I mean professional archaeologists, biblical scholars, and all that, have abandoned the field to these amateur enthusiasts and to the irresponsible filmmakers. Now, not all filmmakers are irresponsible, Jesse. Some of them are very good, but others are very irresponsible. I think we need to take our field back. And I'm about to call, at our annual meetings, I'm about to call on all my colleagues to actively, whenever they publish an article in a scholarly journal, to then put out a public version also, because we need to counteract this. It may be that I'm putting up a straw man, it may be that I'm tilting at windmills, but I don't think so. I think if we don't actively put out the information, then somebody else is going to take it from us. My point was not to solve the mysteries. My point was to put out the information so that everybody can then start to solve them on their own. And so the next time you read a book, the next time you see something on TV, the next time a politician says something, you can sit there and go, actually, wait a minute, that's not the full story. But also because we have so much out there that we can look for. I mean, personally, I would say, why would I go looking for Noah's Ark when I can dig at Armageddon? I know it's there. There are 20 cities, one on top of another. I can go looking for David and Solomon right here. I know where the city is. Why should I go looking for something else? Same thing with like the Ark of the Covenant or anything like that. I mean, just look at what was been found in Jerusalem the last week. I mean, you've got maybe a portion of the Second Temple up on top of the Temple Mount. You've got the huge drainage system from the first Jewish revolt that Josephus says that the people of Jerusalem escaped through in the year 70. Just this morning was the announcement that a new Egyptian fortress has been found down by the Gaza Strip that dates to before the Exodus. So, why go look for these other things when we've got tons of stuff right in front of us? I say at the end of the book, not to be a spoiler or anything, but I say that this book will not end the debates. In fact, I'm hoping it'll start them. But it'll restart them on a basis of fact rather than fantasy. Here's what we know, and here's what we don't know. Right now, anybody with a website and an idea can put their idea out. And frankly, my wife's grandmother can't tell what's right and what's wrong. She doesn't know who these people are. So I would just say, watch out. And again, that's why I wrote the book. That's probably why I'll write my next book. I think this is something that really needs to be done. Anyway, I thank you all for coming tonight, and I look forward to all of your questions and to the discussion. Thank you.